All right. All right. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here. You know, obviously, just you're coming off the game. Last Saturday. First, I do want to thank every Florida State fan that traveled over to Ireland to make that trip, to be there to support us. I mean, it was an incredible turnout. It was obviously a great atmosphere. We have just such a special fan base, and I'm sick that we didn't give you a better outcome. Obviously it's extremely disappointing, but I am so very grateful for every one of our Florida State faithful that made that trip, and it was really remarkable just to see that support. Coming off the game. You're getting a chance to get back. Obviously it's a big trip. There's a lot of different elements that go into it. I'm you're grateful for all of our operations. Everybody that served a part of that, making that trip happen. I mean, it's a lot of moving pieces, and I thought it went as smooth as could be. I was glad to get everybody back here. Obviously we had practice last night. Adjusting to our game week. Yesterday was a Sunday for us. Today is a Monday, and then we'll continue to progress as we go. But going back and looking at the game, like I said, I mean it's sickening that we came up short in that game, and obviously I take total responsibility and ownership for that. And I think that you go back and see the game. Obviously it's my job to have the team prepared to go and play to the best of our ability, and I don't believe that was our best. And you could sit there and you look at a lot of different factors. There's lacked when you look at offensively, we really lacked the explosive play showing up. We had a couple big runs, couple of decent passes, but we just missed that explosive play. We only had 7 possessions in the game, which really you got to make every play count. And obviously both teams had 7 possessions. So there wasn't a whole. It was definitely a unique game. I was proud of our guys. We were able to own the ball offensively. I think we scored on 4 of the 7 drives, but a couple of those drives had to settle for field goals. We had the 4th down where we didn't convert, and then we just had a few missed opportunities. But I thought it was pretty clean game in a sense of not hurting ourselves, but obviously there were some things that we left out there. They did a good job in some of the things schematically of trying to add safeties. We had some missed assignments in regards to how we were trying to account for those guys. But at the end of the day, it's an opportunity for us to grow and build. And I was really proud of the guys offensively. In that 4th quarter when we needed a touchdown to be able to put together that drive. And I thought DJ did a great job. The receivers answered the call. Being able to find a way to finish in the end zone was big, and ultimately, I mean, I've got to do a better job of getting the ball to our playmakers, and making sure that we're given those opportunities, and still being able to maintain the balance that we have or that we desire. But I thought that was something coming out of the game that I definitely. It's something that we all get to work and be better at, but something that specifically for myself, I mean, I got to make sure that when we come out of the game that that we've been able to take advantage of those opportunities. And flipping over to the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, it was a game that they were able to establish everything on the run, and it was unfortunate that we were not able to create more explosives defensively. We had the one opportunity where the ball was on the ground that we got to find a way to create that takeaway with that opportunity that showed up. Obviously they were able to do a lot of different things in the run game. They did a good job of their shifts, their motions, trying to keep us off balance, forcing communication, and I thought their front did a good job of neutralizing our defensive front, which we've got to have more production out of that group. I mean, it is one of the best groups on this team, and those guys for a lot of different reasons. I mean, that's something that we're going to continue to work and build. And I think one of the things I've been pleased with since the game is just the ownership of coaches, players, everybody involved of understanding how much we have to continue to pour into each other. And you take ownership and getting better. And I think when you look at defensively, we continue to push and challenge, that forcing unit, whether it's D-line, linebackers, safeties, corners, whenever it's forced. I mean, we got to make sure that our fits are tight, that we do a better job of tackling in space. I thought we had too many missed tackles in space when guys got on the perimeter. They had 15, design quarterback runs, which, when that happens, I mean, it takes everybody. And, you got to, obviously this week we're going to play another running quarterback, and so it's going to take all hats. And, if you're forced into the fit, we got to make sure we're on point and being in position, playing with our eyes, running through tackles and making sure that we're getting guys on the ground. But we had, like I said, we had too many missed tackles, there in space. And ultimately, I mean, we've just we got to be better in forcing and stopping and stopping a team. When they obviously are attempting to run the ball, whether that's with the quarterback, running backs, speed motions, whatever that might be. We just have to be better. But I've got a lot of confidence in our group. There's still some things, being our first game, you get a chance to continue to evaluate personnel and what are those best units. I think there's some opportunities for growth there for us as well, on just who, when, where guys are playing, and that's something that being in game one, obviously it's sometimes you have to work through that, and but we will definitely be better in that regards, and make sure we're putting guys in the best positions to achieve success. And special teams wise, I was really proud of Ryan. I mean, and Ryan in that field goal unit to have two of the long field goals. One was a career long for him, and then just you see the confidence he has. You did a great job in his kickoffs. I thought our coverage unit was good in the opportunity we had. Really we're limited. I think there's only 21 total special team snaps, so really limited in that. But saw some good things, and obviously some areas we got to work to get better. But I'm excited I'm excited and grateful for the opportunity to go respond. And this is. Everybody's disappointed in coming up short, and that game came down to one play. And when you sit there and you look at it, I mean, you could take 30 plays in that game, and at any one of those have a different different outcome. I mean, we're probably in a lot better mood right now than what we're in. So, but how you respond to it, what you do. I mean, nobody ever wants to find yourself in this situation, but I believe in the character of the team. I believe in in this coaching staff. I believe in the talent and ability that we have. But we got to go play better. And it starts with me, and it's my job to make sure that in all things that we're doing, that come Monday night, that our best football shows up. And that last week, there's a lot of different logistical things that we worked through, and obviously I don't know when our next game of traveling abroad would ever be, but it's you look at all things. I mean, why did some things show up the way they did, and obviously we're going to learn and work and get better from it. But I thought our guys did a really good job in practice yesterday. There's definitely the right edge that we need, and just for this week, obviously we're playing a Boston College team that's kicking off their season, new coach, new coaching staff, some very talented players, very dynamic quarterback, some experienced guys, defensively that have been through it and done it, and I mean, we know that obviously they're coming in ready to kick off their season, and for us it's all about us going to get better, and that's I want to see us play our best game, and we got to have our best week of preparation to be able to have a chance to do that.
Our first question will be Brendan over here on the left. When discussing the forcing unit and needing it to be better, like, is it physicality, is it eye discipline? I guess what aspects are you looking to improve? There was, I
mean, you can sit there and you go through the course of an entire game. We gave up, I think it was 3 really explosive runs, and I think you see a little bit of all in that. There was a play where might have had a missed assignment, thinking something else was coming rather than staying the course of the job and responsibility. And if you have just a little bit of extra space in there, you let a guy be able to make something happen. With that, I think our eye discipline, making sure that our communication's on point, making sure that our fits are tight, and that we're running through and being able to make tackles there in open spaces. And I think there were some times where there was some hesitation that showed up, and obviously that's I know as we talked, I guess it was a week ago or before the first game, you sit there and like, what is the concern going into the game? I believe in the talent and the ability, but in the moment of truth, when you're out there, do you trust your discipline? Do you trust your details? And then are you able to go put that on display? And I think and that's not just for new players. It's also older and experienced players that in that moment you got to trust the things that you train yourself to do. And whether it's an open field tackle, it's those fundamentals and do you rely on that in that moment? If it's your block destruction, if it's how you're fitting a gap, how 11 guys are playing as one, there defensively. I mean it's so critical. And I think those are things that you have to grow from, you have to learn from, but you also see the importance of it when you come out of the game, and when those things are the things that hurt you. I mean, it's just the sense of urgency to get that fixed and to be better. It has to be done.
How do you counter a game having such slow tempo, limited quantity of possessions? And in that game on Saturday, did you try to do anything in the moment that just didn't work?
Yeah, I mean, it's the fewest possessions I've ever been a part of in a game, and it was really both sides. I mean, obviously, they were able to to extend drives. They're offensively. I mean, we got to be better on third down defense, getting off the field. Some of those things are a part of it. But on the flip side of it, we were very we were methodical with our drives offensively, and we had multiple drives of 9, 8, 9, 10 plus plays, and that's we need to see those explosive plays show up. And we did take our shots. We did have some opportunities. Some of them didn't play out the way necessarily that we wanted, but those were a part of the plan. And we just when you miss out on some of those explosive opportunities, I mean, and you have these longer drives, I mean, it does shorten the game. And so it like I said, it's the importance of every play, making sure that you can execute, make sure that obviously we tried to mix a few things up, and just what we're doing. But like I said, I got to make sure I do a better job of as we roll through, putting our guys in the best position to achieve success, and we're going to do that.
We'll go third row on your right for Matt.
Did you expect there to be so many few possessions in the game, like on both sides? And how big of a part did the helmet communication kind of play in that? Like, how did that change things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely plays a role. I would. No, I didn't expect there to be that few. I mean, I think we had one possession, if I remember correctly, one possession in the fourth quarter, maybe one possession in the. It was only three. It was three possessions in the second half, which is obviously very unique to have. We only had four there, in the first half. So I mean, you don't expect to be that few, but I mean it's something that plays out in the course of the game. I'm sure that was a big part of their plan of what they wanted to do, and obviously as it all kind of played out, it played out pretty good for what they were trying to accomplish. But the helmet communication, it was good. In the second half, they said that their helmet communication went down, and so we actually weren't using it there in the part of the second half because of the official came over and told me that it went out, and then even whenever we tried to use it, it wasn't in full operation there. Later in the game. So I mean that was all part of it, but I mean it's just that's part. I mean, that's just the game, and so it's different factors and elements that you work through, and but it was definitely unique to only have 14 total possessions in a game.
We'll go front row on your right for Kurt.
you talked about, I guess, finding the balance on offense, finding the explosiveness. The first half and the passing game, how involved the running backs were. I think the only real shot downfield was negated by the pass interference. Was that what you thought was going to be effective? Was that trying to help DJ settle in? Were there shots he maybe didn't take? What do you think went into that?
It was part of our plan, because we felt like we'd have a chance to get leverage, get in space, let guys have a chance to go make plays. Some of it was just reads, being able to take something quick, but I thought it was a good start to it. I thought DJ settled in, was able to get the ball out and spread around, and like I said, I mean, you look at the the first half. I mean, we were able to move the ball on every drive. Unfortunately, we had the corner made a great play. Great call on their part on the fourth down that we came up short. But we were able to move the ball. We just unfortunately, we got to make sure we finish those drives with touchdowns, and that was something that you obviously worked to build off of. But we did have a couple of opportunities that didn't go the way we wanted. But it was all kind of part of our plan.
Go back to Jordan on the left.
Coach, you mentioned it a little bit already, but what has the mood of the team been like the last 3 days traveling around Ireland on Sunday? And then were there any leaders that stepped up after the loss or, during the last couple of days?
Yeah, I was, obviously one of the things of staying there the day after. We got up pretty early there on Sunday. We had a team meeting. We met offensively, defensively. Went through the film. You had a chance to watch the game. I mean, it was, nobody was in a good mood. I mean, but also, with us going over there and playing a game, it was probably over 90% of our team was the first time ever outside the country, and I didn't want to just go there and miss an opportunity for them to have an educational experience. And they did get to go and see some of the town. Guys got a chance to get that experience. And but I am grateful for this team's mindset. Like I said, the ownership of it. It's being a part of a team. I mean, you pour so much into so few opportunities, and but there's guys that even directly right after the game, some of our best players. I mean, obviously, us as coaches, when you're willing to take ownership of action, and obviously the commitment to do everything that you can to go get better and to fix the areas of mistakes, and to understand the importance of the smallest things, whether it's the play calls, whether it's what you're doing, whether it's a technique, a fundamental. We all have a job and a responsibility to each other, and so I think our guys have had the right mindset in what we need to do. They're still all in front of us, and we got to go and just get better. I'm not worried about anything else beyond that. I'm not worried about anything that we can't control right now, other than going out there and putting our best foot forward. Here today, being prepared for our Tuesday practice tomorrow, and obviously as we'll build throughout the course of the week. But that's what I desire, and I think I've got a football team that understands that, and definitely showed it last night in their approach.
We'll go back to Matt, third row on your right.
Do you think some guys during the game were tentative or kind of afraid to make mistakes?
I think it's one of the things. When you have some newcomers, guys that are in different different roles or different opportunities, that there's a that's where you talk about you got to trust your training. You got to be able to trust the things that you've done and prepared. Do I think there's some guys that played hesitant at moments? Yes, and that's where you got to be able to work through that. And at the end of the day, it's as a coach, you try to do all the things that you can do to prepare them for that moment, and how you train, what you do, and making sure that guys are going to play fast, through that. There's some guys that were a little bit limited, there throughout the course of camp, and that were available for the game, and got opportunities, and there was it was a mixed bag of results in some of those things that we saw. And so obviously we got to do a good job as coaches of making sure that identify and make adjustments as we need throughout the course of a game. But I think that's as guys are getting out there, you get guys, having to play as one, and we've got to make sure that we step on that field, there's no hesitation, and obviously guys going to cut it loose and being the best they can be.
All right, stay on the right side for Liam, second row.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned it earlier, but with Boston College having a new coaching staff, and is it difficult to get a read on them heading into the game, especially when you faced them last year in a shootout? Does it change anything for you guys?
No, I mean, we obviously got a lot of respect for the guys that they have, for the players that they have. I mean, obviously, Coach O'Brien and his staff. I mean, very obviously extensive and very successful coaching career. Obviously with him, Coach Lewis, their defensive coordinator. I mean, this is a team that's going to be very well coached. I mean, they're going to be tough. They're going to be physical. They're going to be able to attack you in a variety of different ways, offensively, defensively, as well as in special teams. And so, but in all reality, there's we're looking at everything. And I mean, from anything you can imagine, in preparation of what we might see. And obviously there's going to be things that they're going to be able to take from week one and probably try to utilize here for them. And we gotta stay focused on ourselves and be able to adapt and adjust to whatever shows up.
Coach, curious about two guys on offense. Jalen Lucas, I think he was only in for maybe 7 or so snaps. Is there an expanded role for him? And then also Hakeem Williams. I know y'all announced he wasn't going to be able to play against Georgia Tech. What's his kind of status and timeline moving forward here?
Yeah, we'll see. You'll see how Hakeem progresses through this week. We're hopeful that he'll be available, but obviously that's going to be something that's going to have to see throughout the course of the week. He is progressing. Sean Murphy was another player that was out last week. Linebacker. He's missed a better part of camp. And we're hopeful that don't know if it'll be this week, but hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. And then Jalen, he's a guy that is an explosive playmaker for us, and he's one of those guys that, like I said, coming out of the game, the fact that he was limited in touches, I got to do a better job, and obviously, it's sometimes there's a variety of different ways of how the ball gets to somebody, but that's a guy that we need to be able to make an impact, and obviously he'll continue to work, he'll continue to do the things that he needs to do to be better and to continue to be ready for those opportunities. But he's obviously he's done a good job throughout fall camp, and it's unfortunate I wasn't able to get him to be a bigger part of that game throughout there on Saturday.
You mentioned the game plan with DJ was to spread the ball around, I guess, stretch a defense horizontally. That last drive, though, when he made those throws downfield, did that open anything up in your head about how you can use them and maybe gives you guys the more space to run the ball if you can stretch both vertically and horizontally?
Yeah, no, I mean, it didn't go into the game not wanting to stretch the ball horizontally or vertically either. I mean, there was, we called our shots, and there were some, a couple looks where, obviously different dynamics. We checked out of a couple based off the look that we were getting, but we also, there was opportunities that we did, and you tried to push. More confidence left, less confidence. I mean, I woke up on Sunday confident. I was going into Saturday, I was confident. I know the guys that I coach, and there's sometimes different elements of a game plan of what you want to do and how you want to try to get guys in space, and that's what we went into it with, and it just unfortunate that connecting and being able to have some of those vertical plays down the field didn't show up for us in week one, and you will continue to work and be better and try to capitalize on those, and it's going to be something we do each and every week.
Come back to Jordan on your left.
Coach, you only really used 6 offensive linemen on Saturday. Was that part of the plan? And also, how do you think Coach Fertitta did filling in for Coach Atkins?
I thought that the communication went really well. I think we used 7 guys. Rob and TJ both played. Throughout the course of the game, continuing to work through, and I think we got guys that have experience. I think there was some really good things that showed up, and there was as you go back and you watch the film, it's just so how fine it can be. Just with having to have guys all together. And it's not just obviously offensive line, it's tight ends, running backs, everybody being on the same page, and just the finest of details where we had a couple of those runs that were extremely close to being what you're looking for and the explosive plays that can be created. But I thought Gabe did a great job just in his communication with the guys on the sideline. Obviously with all the things that we're doing within the staff, and then we're going to continue to build upon that throughout these next couple of weeks. But I thought he did a really good job working with those guys.
We got time for a couple more. We'll go to Chris, front row.
I have two questions, but they have to do with one another. How much was footing an issue there, and how much does that play into setting the edge, containing a quarterback like Haynes King, who's obviously very elusive?
I mean, both sides had to deal with the same thing, and there's both sides. There's times of guys slipping, and it was all part of it. Every surface is going to be unique to itself, but there are a few times that we lost our footing and allowed them to get to the edge, which it's just we got to be better. I don't think it was a huge part of it, but it definitely shows up, and those are things that sometimes you can and can't control, but obviously we got to make sure we're doing everything in our power to have an edge defensively, and then obviously whether it's on the offensive or defensive side, make sure we're staying on our feet and have an opportunity to make the play.
So last week you said going into the first game you have like the biggest menu of things you could see. Does that still apply this week with Boston College having not played yet? And then how different do you expect them to be with Bill O'Brien now being the head coach?
No, I mean, it's for the first 2 weeks, we're going to have a huge menu of things that we could potentially see. And, obviously, you got to prepare for all things, and we'll have our thoughts of what we might see, but you got to be able to adapt and react to what shows up, and that's a part of it when you play in week 0, and your first opponent's playing their first game, especially with a brand new staff. So it's a very talented staff with some talented players to be able to work with. So we're excited for the week of preparation, and you're doing everything to put our guys in the best position to go have success this week.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you. See you guys. Have a good night. You too.
All right, we'll open it up for questions for Coach Fuller. Start right here with Matt. He's good.
On Saturday, were some of the problems caused by confusion over what Georgia Tech was doing, or did guys just not beat their blocks kind of thing?
I mean, there were 53 plays out there, so I mean, there was a little bit of combination, different things for different plays. I think, we didn't play as good as we wanted to play. And, some of it came to, the line of scrimmage, some of it came to space tackling, some came to leverage. My job is to get it fixed, and but definitely didn't play as well as we wanted to play, that's for sure.
With the line of scrimmage, how much was physicality a problem for you guys, and what can you do to kind of build on and improve it if it was indeed a problem?
Well, physicality sometimes comes down to technique, sometimes it comes down to eyes, sometimes it comes down to grit. There's a bunch of different ways to be physical. You can want to be, but if your hands are in different places and your eyes are in different places, that can come up. You can get moved. And so, we do a great job with our weight room in our training. We think we have powerful players. But those powerful players need to play with good technique, and they need to make sure their eyes are where they need to be. And, if they're not, you'll get exposed at times. And, we got to do a better job in all aspects for sure.
Coach, after one of the scrimmages, you mentioned tackling as a problem for the unit, and then obviously it showed up on Saturday. Is that something that can be fixed with more game reps, or what do you guys need to do better in the tackling department going forward?
Yeah, I mean, there's times that, I think we've taken good steps. But when the lights come on and what you see is what you get, you got to continue to rep the fundamentals, or, change some of the ways that you get it done, or make sure the guys are in better position, one or the other. And so, in today's age in football, with the amount of space that's put on, you better make sure you're the aggressor in tackling. And what does that mean? It means you better be coming and taking all the grass. You better be tracking with really good angles, and you better be chasing inside out. And, that way you can really, limit the amount of, plays after contact or even plays in space. So things that we've done well before, things that we've got to get better at for sure coming out of that game. And some of it individuals, some of it was the group, some of it was technique. But it's all part of the improvement plan of what needs to get fixed, because we can't go out there and give up yards that shouldn't be given up. Because when there's those plays to be made and some of those space plays, those are the things we got to count on. And good defenses make all those one-on-ones, and we've got to do a better job.
How'd you think Conrad Hussey played? He's now lone starter at safety on the depth chart. What did he kind of do to earn that spot?
Well, I mean, I think even coming out of camp, he was somebody that we've put a lot of time into. I think he's got all the skill set that you're looking for in a safety. I think he's a good tackler. I think he can cover. He can track space. There's a lot of things Conrad does well, and he's gotten his opportunity in the past. He's done a good job with the opportunities, and so those opportunities continue to grow. So I'm looking forward to the week of practice. I thought he was really good last night on our practice, and I'm really looking forward to working with him this week and getting him to play to his very best.
Not going to try act like I know about football here, Coach, but when people talk about gaps and gap integrity and linebackers having to fill properly, do things change based on if the defensive lineman gets moved out of the way? I mean, how much of that symbiotic sort of thing maybe didn't work out as intended for you guys on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, you want to win one-on-ones, but in the run game, you got to build walls, and, you've got to have your defenders in between each blocker, and, because that is what the space that a ball carrier sees. So, sometimes you move on purpose, whether you're blitzing or whether you're stunting, and linebackers or safeties have to replace that space. Sometimes, a defensive lineman can knock a block back and eliminate the space of a backer or safety, and that guy gets to overlap and go play. And sometimes there's a stalemate there, and the gaps are what they are on paper. And then at times you get overtaken, and when you get pushed back, that creates bad angles for everybody, and it affects not only the next person but the next person, and the angles get all not as you practiced. But those things happen in the course of a game. Unfortunately, Saturday they happened more, and we never really get them out of the rhythm and be able to run the football. And that usually starts with the line of scrimmage, but then it goes to the next level, and then finally it does go to tackling. So, all those are pieces to stifling run game, something we got to be better with.
Was Justin Cryer an option at linebacker this week, and will he have a chance moving forward in practice?
Yeah, Juice has been part of the rotation during camp, and as the game got going, it was a different sort of game. It was a limited series game. There were some long drives. Then there were some 3-and-out drives, and not as many 3-and-out drives as we needed, for sure. And so the balance of the game, just got in a certain way. But I do believe in Juice. He's going to be running with the group, this week, and he's going to be a big part of this team as we move forward.
When you face someone like Haynes King and this coming week Tommy Castellanos setting the edge, how do you go about doing that more effectively than what happened in Dublin?
Yeah, I just thought we were soft in the edges, and we were, anytime a team can run the football, sometimes you want guys to go do your job. And then what happens is some guys worry about, well, what if this happens? I got to make sure I can do this and then come back and make a play. And that creates for soft edges. And then you put, listen, they did a good job. They've got good ball carriers, and, especially with the quarterback. He's got legitimate speed. He ran around the edge 2 or 3 times on us. Some was for lack of edge. Some, obviously we didn't either anticipate the speed that he had, or he was able to get the corner. And so you want to eliminate space and the quickest way to eliminate space is to draw a hard edge so there's lack of space. You don't want, the field 53 yards. You sure don't want plays to be able to extend that wide. And the sooner you can draw the edge, the more limited amount of space you have to play, which is to the advantage of the defense. So definitely, whether it was a blitz, whether it was just a fit, or whether it was technique, things, we've emphasized, but we got to do a better job of emphasizing.
Coach, who wore the green dot during the game and called the plays? And also, how did you feel the communication was with the motions and some of the things that Georgia Tech presented?
Obviously the dot changes based on who's in the game. But, it's a green dot. It goes right in the back of their helmet, And so, DJ Lundy started out with it when he was out. Whoever subbed in for him at that moment could be a multitude of different people. And, Georgia Tech huddled a little bit more. I think you're seeing that in college football now, whether that's to hide the formation or whether that's just for them to use the communication. I think, offenses are trying to figure it out, and defensively, you still have to kind of react to what their tempo is going to be. If they're in the huddle, you can communicate, but really you're waiting on the communication based off what you see. Sometimes when they're aligned in formations, it can be a little bit more. But at the end of the day, it's still a fast sport, and you got to be careful about, speaking as players are going. And, so we work hard on that and making sure that we're using it to the advantage and not the disadvantage. But definitely something, we'll grow with as the season continues.
Coach, when game playing against guys like Thomas Castellano, what's the toughest part about having to game plan a guy like him, especially going to a different system, especially with Bill O'Brien's offense?
Well, there's questions every week, but anytime there's a new coaching staff, there's going to be some questions. But, injuries happen, different quarterbacks happen. Our job is to get our defense ready to play. And, we got to do a better job this week with it. I think they do have an elite playmaker that's back there at quarterback. And, those challenges are just a good guy with the ball in his hands that, can create space by blocking the run game or center routes down the football field, and you got to make decisions on how you cover those routes as opposed to how you cover him. And so, you're constantly trying to make sure that you put guys in good leverage positions. But at the end of the day, defense is still about getting off of blocks, chasing down the ball, and tackling. And so we got to do a great job with doing that this week.
You talked a little bit about Juice Cryer. How do you think the linebacker rotation as a whole played overall?
Not ideal. I think, it's something we got to continue to look at. You're trying to get your best guys on the field. Sometimes your best guys, are more limited than others. And so you're constantly working through that, whether it's in practice or whether it's during the game. And so, if just looking back in that game, probably would do it a little bit different. But I think any time you suffer failure, there's always things that you're going to look back and say, I wish I had this call back. I wish I rotated this a little bit differently. I wish we played this play a little bit different. I wish, we just went a little bit faster towards our angle on this play. So you're always going to, you try to dig through success or failure. Just failure has a way of opening it all up to make sure that you're looking at everything, as thoroughly as you can. But there are a lot of things that we probably, or not probably, but I should have done a better job with, and I will.
Coach, following up on that, you didn't rotate the defensive line as much as you usually do. A lot of the starters played over 50% of the snaps. Was that more because you wanted your top guys out there, or was it just because there's only 50 snaps in the game and they weren't really tired or anything like that?
Yeah, we ended up playing 8. Usually we probably played 9, maybe a 10th. So it did get a little bit shortened, and some of that did have to do with the limited series in the game.
You talk about setting a soft edge. To clarify, is that edge defenders, or is it could it be linebackers, safeties? I guess what does that entail?
It really be anybody that is responsible for the edge of the defense. That could be an end, it could be a corner, it could be a safety, it could be a linebacker. It could be different people, but it really is different. A guy that's wider or deeper has to be more aggressive down. Guys that are aligned there, even if they're not aggressive, they're going to set a harder edge because of where they're aligned. But definitely, there were times I thought, we didn't have many bright spots, but one, like Nussi set really hard edges on multiple times. That was really good to see. And, it just eliminated space and, things that we take pride in doing well. We've just got to be more consistent on doing it well, play after play.
You mentioned the things that you guys take pride in. I feel like, stopping the run is probably one of those things. So when it doesn't go your way, is it, as a coach, as a defensive coach, is it easier to push for more execution and effort out of those guys this week because you didn't live up to that standard? And I guess psychologically, what sort of response did you see in that walkthrough yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a walkthrough. We had practice, but it's easy as a human being to say when things didn't go well, now we're really going to fix it. And as a coach, you own everything. Especially, and I tell the defense, and Coach Norvell is the best in the business at doing this. When failure happens, it's my fault. When success happens, it's their fault. They have the success. And, so you always have to look within when things don't go well, whether it's a rotation, whether it's with the call, whether it's with the alignment, whether it's, with the tackling and what drills you're using. So, listen, nobody wanted to start the season out this way. But if things had gone the other way, the next week is coming. We just have, some things that we have to own and wear, and, heightened awareness that, listen, there's a reason why we weren't our best right now, and we've got to address it. We've got to fix it. We've got to get better from it. We've got to go out there and execute and play our best football come next Monday.
You mentioned Sione doing well. The way he played, does he warrant more opportunities moving forward because of that?
Yeah, and sometimes coaches, you say, all right, you've got this series, you got this series, and then if the series happens to go long, maybe you rotate within the series. And sometimes guys go in and it's a 3-and-out series, which goes to show maybe they did a really good job too. But you've got a plan, and then the plan is always adjusted at times. And looking back, I think Nussi does deserve more snaps, and that'll be the plan this week. Thanks, guys. Hey, guys.
Good to go? Okay. We'll start right here with Chris.
Can you talk about both of Ryan's kicks and just seeing a kid hit a 59-yarder like that and just own the moment, knowing what he's been through in the past?
Yeah, I was obviously really proud for Ryan, and we got a lot of confidence in him. The first kick, we knew that was obviously well within his range. The second kick, we knew we were right on the edge of it. We had a few opportunities in fall camp to back him up and see where he was really comfortable, and there was a little bit of a breeze going in that direction in the stadium. And obviously, I think on the third down setup play, we were looking for a little bit of yards to get a little bit closer for him, but I did feel like from that distance, he was going to have an opportunity to make it, and he did a great job of just kind of staying within himself, not trying to over kick it, and obviously that was a critical play going into half for him to have the opportunity to tie it up.
Generally, what did you see from the defensive ends going back and watching film?
I thought, there were some things in the run game. Obviously, we were a little bit tentative on. Would like to play a little bit faster, more aggressive at the point of attack. Some of the strengths that our defensive ends have that really didn't play into that kind of game. There was really no drop back pass to speak of. it became obviously a run-dominated game. And when that's the case, that's the role and responsibility we have to play, and we have to be physical in the run game, and we have to be strong at the point of attack. And obviously, that's something that we got to continue to improve upon as we move forward. But it will be obviously the major point of emphasis going into this week.
Coach Fuller just praised Sione for his play this past weekend, and he said he's probably going to get more opportunities. Do you agree with that, and what do you think of his play?
Yeah, I think the one thing that we knew going into it, that Nusi was going to be a physical run defender. He does a good job of being physical on pullers and physical in the run game, and he is very conscientious and assignment sound and plays hard. And when those are your traits, those are some of the things that we're looking for. Really, he was on a rotation going into this past game where he was going to rotate to start every other series, and that was how the game played out. There was just so limited amount of series for series starts. There was only 7 in the game, so he didn't end up leaving the game with as many reps as I would like him to have gotten, but he certainly will get more going forward.
Coach, what went into the decision to play Malik Benson at punt returner? Or to start Malik Benson?
What was the decision?
Yeah, like it was an order.
I thought, coming out of camp, I thought both he and Jalen had good camps, but there was a confidence that I did have in Malik. And not to say that I didn't have one in Jalen, because he was part of the plan as potentially rotating him in at the returner. But Malik had a really good last couple weeks in terms of his confidence in terms of fielding the balls, and it starts with that. It starts with ball security, making good decisions on balls, and Malik had done a really, really good job with that, and that was just kind of the decision we made going into it. But I see both of them having opportunities to play roles in our punt return game moving forward.
Coach, I feel like what was the best time to do that trick play on that extra point? And also thoughts about Edwin Joseph and that hit he made during that punt.
Yeah, in terms of the swing gate to start the game, that's something that we carry into every game, and there's really 2 factors to that. One is it obviously gives us an opportunity to steal a point early in the game and maybe dictate the thought process of our opponent in terms of how they're going to chase the points if they have to. But also, it does give an element of something that someone has to work on every week. It's simple for us in terms of execution, but it is something that is unique. Not many teams have that mindset on some of the 2-point conversions. So it is something that we go in every week thinking that's a possibility, and the look presented itself. So we went ahead and did it. In terms of Edwin, that was a great job getting down on the punt coverage unit. He's a guy that we think can be very impactful for us on our special teams units, and his role needs to continue to increase. But I thought that was a good start for him in terms of playing that role in the game the other day.
2 things, real quick. Who designed that play?
There's a couple fold to that. The best, sometimes the best innovations are taking it from somebody else. So we did see that play run by a different team. And then Coach Carter Barfield, he's in charge of kind of that preseason menu of different 2-point conversions that are possibilities, and then ultimately just to kind of spread out how everyone gets credit for things that happen. Coach's final call whether we run it or not. So it's something that is executed throughout the course of camp. We'll have to change and have different looks as we go. The more often that you run them, the more looks that you got to be able to present, because now that one's on tape. So we'll continue to be creative and innovative in that way, but I do feel like it's a good way to steal points, especially early in the game.
We all saw it in here. None of us reported it. We did a good job keeping the secret. So keep running them. Keep running them in practice. On this last, Coach Norvell did mention that there might have been some aspect of guys just being a little bit nervous, kind of first game jitters, like afraid to make a mistake and then ending up making a mistake. Does that almost get compounded when you're having to set the edge and play the edge against a team like Georgia Tech? And do you feel like that is easily remedied, I guess?
Yeah, I think there's
there's a lot of factors that go into opening games in college football, just from the standpoint of not having those preseason games and a lot of guys going into their first real game action within a program. You have a good feeling in terms of what you have and who's going to be out there playing going into a game week, but sometimes you don't really know until you get into the game. There's some guys that I thought that did a great job, some guys that obviously have a lot of work to do. But in terms of just the nerves and anxiety that goes along with it, that's something that's just part of opening day football. I'm sure it was the same on the other sideline. We got to do a good job of adapting and adjusting, and we got to make that big jump. The cliche in football is that you make the biggest jumps from week 1 to week 2, and we got to make that jump to get to where we want to be.
Anything else for JP? Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.